explanation of the change that happened to 2116 in Senate committee. Mr. Reviser, 2116.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Bill 2116 is the bill requiring certain contractual provisions for cities of the second and third class and counties with a population of less than 35,000. The bill, as it came out of the House, had a provision regarding contracts entered into after July 1st, 2024. The Senate amendment to the bill was to update that to reflect contracts entered into after July 1st, 2025, which would be after the effective date of the bill.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
More or less just a technical fix that our reviser caught. We did have it on the consent calendar and we pulled it off after we caught that. So, and you can see our vote 40-0, yours 119-0.
And I will say that each of us individually has reviewed this, and after calling for a conference committee for this particular bill, we feel confident that this wording is going to be good. So out of these three bills, I think we're probably settled if you still are. Okay.
2116.
On 2116.
However, we senators have not heard House Bill 2099 across the floor. It's under the line. We just didn't have time to get to it. We would like to consider adding the contents of 2099 into 2116, and then we will explain it in the Senate, but perhaps Jason wants to talk about 2099.
If we could do that and how that can combine. Yes. Thank you, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Bill 2099 is the bill that authorizes the city of Topeka to conduct residential housing inspections when the property owner receives direct public financial assistance from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development.
And the goal here is to put 2099 into 2116 to be one combined bill to be considered for approval in the bodies. Yes.
Although I might mention, we do have some Senate cleanup language that Jason has prepared for us as well.
Okay. All right.
Not on this bill. Oh, no, we're on the next bill. That's right. So 2099 is clean going over.
2099 as was passed in the House chamber and also in both committees. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, all right. For that bill, do we have a decision to make as far as a recommendation? I would ask for a show of hands for approval of the concept and then eventual happening of putting 2099 into 2116 so that it can be finalized. Is there an agreement?
Agreement.
Okay. Agreement is 6-0, so that's unanimous. All right. That would take care of the issue of these two bills, and the last one is 2160. And Mr. Reviser, if you'd review that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Bill 2160 would enact the Kansas Municipal Employee Whistleblower Act to establish legal protections for municipal employees who report or disclose unlawful or dangerous conduct. The Senate amendments to the bill, first off, added a provision on page 2 that would allow disciplinary action if the employee has disclosed information due to a corrupt motive rather than a good faith concern for wrongful activity. The Senate also put in on page 3 a provision to allow for a municipal administrative process for handling complaints for violations of the act. And then finally, the Senate put in a provision regarding liability of legislators who receive information that's been disclosed by an employee to limit the liability of those legislators for any act or failure to act when they receive that information.
Are there any additional comments on those additions or any questions?
Here is where we might ask Jason to go over the two technical changes that we believe we need to clean up our Senate amendments we added. Jason, they're very simple. I think you'll be able to see.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is more a technical amendment on page 2 of the bill. The language regarding a corrupt motive rather than a good faith concern for wrongful activity was inserted by the Senate committee into a provision regarding the truth or falsity of the information disclosed. And in consultation with the Senate chair, has come to the understanding that that should be a separate reason for allowing disciplinary action against an employee. And so you just see that provision being moved down to line 41 there and would become a new subsection D under that subsection.
Committee's plural. Are there any questions? I know the House portion of the committee. Do you have any questions about that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this was a good move and it kind of clarifies things. And I think probably personally, although we didn't discuss the civil action or having that process available, I think if it's in place, it's probably a good thing. There's no use bogging down the courts, at least from my standpoint. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I will say that I believe this meets the intent of the originators of the legislation and what their concerns were. So I'm satisfied.
And it did come from testimony in our committee of one more piece to add that made the bill better. So we were comfortable with that. And we did send it out unanimously from our Senate committee also.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the act was modeled off existing state law for state employees, and as such, there are references throughout the bill to disclosures made to a member of the legislature, hence the language that was added by the Senate committee regarding liability of legislators. This amendment would change that to bring it back more to the local level. So wherever you see legislature or members of the legislature referenced, it is more to the local governing body of the municipality. And with that change there on page 2 of the bill, subsection G is no longer necessary on page 3.
I just thought I mentioned that we had some, on our committee, we had some concerns that as legislatures, we could be hit up at forums or whatever, and that we don't want to be held liable. And so that's why I really like this amendment. Thank you.
We are quite an agreeable bunch right now. And we've dispositioned a couple of bills, and in looking at 2160, we're in agreement with the amendments that were made, and I believe it's concurrable. Let's have a vote as far as that is concerned. How many agree that we would bring this to concur as amended? As amended in Senate committee or Senate, was it in Senate conference committee? All right, and there is no dissension, so I believe this conference committee is complete, and I just hate to see us go so quickly because it's most agreeable. Yeah, that's right.
Got started. Just got warmed up.
And we thank you, and this conference committee is adjourned.